of the right respirometer. When you're going to do this on a patient, make sure, first of all, you have an order, and your patient should be alert enough with it, but there are some parameters that you already know that you can do even on a comatose patient. You need to have your patient preferably in a semi-balanced position. Let the patient know why you're doing this, because you're trying to determine if they're ready to get off this ventilator, if you can take that tube out. So explain to them in layman's terms, not medical terminology, that you're trying to determine how well they can breathe without the help of this machine, because you want them to be able to get that tube out of there. Have them in their semi-balanced position, because as we talked about with extubation, it helps them to breathe. Make sure you suction them thoroughly. You would usually put them on CPAP for a period of time, because you want them to get comfortable with breathing spontaneously. As you do with some of your trials, most of the patients who are on CPAP or SIMV are going to be on pressure support. You want to try to wean down the pressure support. You're going to attach your respirometer, explaining to your patient, I just want you to breathe in and out normally. I'm going to be measuring your breathing. We're going to go back to using the right, and I know right now you can do a lot of your weaning through the ventilator. We're going to look at that as well. But I do know, and actually Carol said she had to do this, not recently, very recently, actually pull out the right respirometer and get your parameters through here. It's always a good idea to double check them as well. So remember, you have to attach, you have the one-way valve, so you have to make sure flow is going through the device. Make sure your valves are on the right side. Turn on your right, make sure it's zeroed. And just to tell your patient you want them to breathe in and out normally for 1 minute. And you're going to be counting their respiratory rate and getting their tidal volume. After 1 minute, you're going to know what their minute ventilation is. After you've done that, you're going to take them off, put them back on the ventilator for a minute to let them rest. Then you're going to go back and you're going to explain to them, take a few normal breaths, rest for a few minutes, and the next time I want you to take in as deep a breath as you possibly can and blow it all out, because you want to see what their vital capacity is. So you're going to have them, I'm going to reset. Take in as deep a breath as you can and blow it all out. Keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing to see what their vital capacity is. And this is just reiterating something that you already know how to do, because we did this last semester. And then you want to get a NIF to see if they have an adequate negative inspiratory force. And also the positive. You want them to blow out against a closed system to get that positive inspiratory breath, expiratory. We're going to attach them to this device. You can do this through the servo and the 840. If I can get this thing to work without hooking it up to oxygen. Yeah. Go towards the respiration. Set up. Spontaneous. And we're going to go into this screen. That's the second little thing here. And now your patient has to be breathing spontaneously. You set that alarm silent. I thought we had any oxygen or any kind of. You see the button that I hit? Okay, normally you're here, over here. Normally, you've got your waveforms up here, and across the top is what the patient is doing, tidal volume, minute ventilation, peak pressure. You guys all see that? And now I want to get their weaning parameters through the ventilator. I'm going to hit this button. Look at what it's giving you. Can everybody see that?
spontaneous minute volume.
I'm looking at this screen here, okay?
Oh, there's the...
That's your RSBI.
Yeah, your RSBI is measured that for you. It's measuring your ventilation, your pressure. It's giving you all the parameters that you need. Now I'm gonna do deep breath. I can't do it on this thing. Just gotta take a full breath in. Will it measure anything? I can't do it on this thing. Okay, so in order up here, you would get your vital capacity. Because I told the patient to take a deep breath in and blow it all out. I'm just watching him breathing, and I think I have him on no pressure support, spontaneous. He's breathing totally on his own. My tidal volume and everything is coming up here, and my weaning parameters are coming in this screen here.
And then you would compare both numbers, the manual numbers to the ventilator numbers?
Most of the time, you're just going to do it through here, but for the sake of takeoff, we're going to do the two. You can also do this on the servo. It'll give you your work of breathing, your rapid shallow breathing index. All of that is shown right up here on your screen. Makes life a little easier when you're weaning your patient. But if I put my patient on pressure support, let's go with 10. And let's look at the difference in my tidal volume. Did anybody notice the difference in the numbers that I'm getting now?
They're higher. They're higher.
The RSBI is going way down from where it was.
Why is that?
Because you give them pressure support, so it's helping them breathe. They're not doing it on their own.
Right, they're not working as hard,
So
and
it's
they
easier.
get a better tidal volume for each breath.
So then they would, if you have to keep giving them pressure support to maintain that, then they wouldn't be ready
They're
to
not
wean.
ready to wean, so you want to wean that pressure support down. And you want to take that pressure support down to like maybe 5. And notice I don't have any PEEP on. I want to see how well my patient can breathe on his own without this machine. And what's the other test that they do for weaning? See if the patient's ready. No, that's what we were just talking about. Where were you?
Good morning.
Okay, they do what they call a spontaneous breathing test, and that's just put the patient on CPAP and just for a couple of hours and just let them breathe on their own. Without, you're not doing any of it. You can do some of the measures, but you want to see if they can, how long they can maintain that. If they can't breathe on their own for more than a couple of hours, they're not ready to come off the ventilator. How about the leak test?
Do you give them pressure support if you have to when you're doing the
Yeah.
or no, it's nothing?
You can start out with pressure support and leave it down. You want to get them off the pressure support. Why do you put pressure support on a patient who's on a ventilator? Yeah, but that doesn't tell me anything.
To help them bring in, initiate the breath.
Initiate the breath and
Helps keep.
overcome the resistance to the tube. Remember, you and I breathing right now, we're not breathing through a straw. So by setting up pressure support, it helps to overcome some of that resistance to blood.
And you only do the spontaneous breathing test if they need the lead parameters, right?
Right, but I asked you about the leak test.
Like the cup?
Not to see if the cup is leaking, you're going to take all of the air out of the cup and see if the patient has a leak. What's that going to tell you?
If there's any edema in the airway.
Yeah, edema, swelling, or let's say you
So that would be
intubated.
like a pre-assessment.
Yes, a part of your pre-assessment, exactly.
And if they don't tolerate it, you put them back on their
Put
original.
them back on their original setting, on their assist control, what have you.
Wouldn't you have to check their gag reflex as well? Like by
What are you going to do, stick a suction down and see if they gag?
No, like while
They
they're still
do that when they're in there
intubated.
for neural
Ew.
reasons.
No, while they're still intubated, if they have
If
no
you stick
gag
it all the way
reflex,
down and they don't have a gag
then
reflex,
you
that
know
wouldn't be
that they're
a
not
good.
going to be able to maintain.
Because they're not going to be able to cough up the secretions.
That's what I meant, not sticky.
This lab report is very short.